We back with another video. Videos for the day that we done already. We talked about Pacquiao, Freddie Roach making an excuse for a shoulder for the Mayweather fight again. Also touched on Felix Verdejo and Terry Flanagan locking in a date in Manchester, September 19th for Flanagan's WBO title. It'll be the first time Felix Verdejo stepping up for a world title, especially with Abel Sanchez now a part of the stable. We just talked about, also dropped the last video off YouTube. Two of the videos we dropped off of YouTube, the Verdejo video and the video I'm about to mention about Caviar Ioli's Yahoo Sports Writer article about Adonis Stevenson blaming Al Heyman for the reason why the Kovalev and Ward fight basically happened. So if you're on Facebook, check us out on YouTube. Hopefully get Instagram up and running full speed soon. Check out the YouTube. Drop a lot of just random videos on YouTube that I released on Facebook. So check them out. But today we're here talking about Rigondeaux and Lomachenko, man. Rigondeaux doesn't get the respect that he deserves and never has. Since running through, guys like Rico Ramos and Donier as well, and Tion Kennedy beat him as well. A lot of just up and comers. He did just run through the division, and people just never gave him his just due. People blamed him for the reason the Donier fight was boring. People blamed him for being boring. He did have that boring fight on Showtime, on HBO, and it seems like he just doesn't press the action. And there's footage of him as an amateur moving his hands and being exciting. That's why, Bob Arum didn't want to promote him. It's not because he's Cuban or, or his skin color or nothing like that. It's not exciting. He doesn't always move his hands, but he has the capability to move his hands. And Lomachenko, he was seen as boring at first. I won't say boring, but he wasn't a guy HBO wanted to welcome back as well, and didn't want to give a date. And he adjusted, and he did what Rigondeaux didn't do. He adjusted and his style became more fan friendly, and by nature he's a nice fighter. He's good head movement, use a lot of angles. He can win a lot of fights easier than he does, but he chooses to be offensive and trying to plant and generate more power now, just so he can really market himself. And, it's not always good to try to step out to a realm, but with him, it's working for him, for Lomachenko. He's starting to really get a lot of fans that's not, hardcore boxing fan to pay attention to him now, because he's getting stoppages and he's moving his hands, meanwhile still being defensive-minded. And that's the thing, that's the sweet spot that Rigondeaux hasn't been able to hit. And maybe Rigondeaux can be exciting. He just needs the right opponent, but, he's the only guy in boxing I've ever seen clean out of the division without having to fight anybody. And a lot of people, gave those guys a pass. Santa Cruz, I think Mares dipped out of there. Quigg, Frampton, all those guys got the fuck up out of there, man. They didn't want to fight that man. And that's why he's a forgotten guy. He's in that Andre Ward realm. I said that somewhere earlier today. On the pound, I actually did the pound for pound list as well today, so check that out. I said that as well. I did my updated pound for pound list. If you don't like it, I don't give a fuck. I told you it's my pound for pound list, the Boxing Clinic pound for pound list. And I mentioned that today, man. Like he cleaned out of the division, and people trying to sell that Golovkin is this feared guy, but this guy Rigondeaux cleaned out of the division without having to fight nobody. These guys didn't want to fight him, and comparing the talents now between him and Lomachenko. Lomachenko's a guy that mastered all three ranges pretty much. He's good inside, middle, and distance, and long range. Your best bet is to do what Salido did and beat him close, and beat to the body and be rough and tough with him. And that bothers any natural, boxer, your swarmer. That's just, the yin and yang there. But, he's very talented. And Rigondeaux, one thing where Rigondeaux sets himself apart from Vasyl Lomachenko is that Rigondeaux is a natural puncher. And I think a lot of people get that lost in that. Rigondeaux has natural power. At the 122 pounds, I think that's where he's at right now. He has natural power. And that's why guys really hesitate to fight him. It's not because, he's a great boxer. That's part of it. But that he's just this boring guy that people want to avoid. People are scared of him because he legitimately punches very hard. And he's very accurate, and you can't hit him. But he has vulnerabilities, but guys still don't want to take that chance because he really can crack. His chin. He gets knocked down a lot in fights. And he's been knocked down before as a pro, and he still hasn't enticed people and intrigued other fighters or other managers or trainers to put their fighter in with him. They know what they're up against. Guys are willing to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. Guys are not willing to fight Rigondeaux. And I think that's the big difference, because Rigondeaux and Lomachenko are both skilled fighters, but Rigondeaux is a legit bone crushing puncher, and I think a lot of people get lost in that. But as far as them fighting, I think Rigondeaux's at 120 and Lomachenko's at 130. You think, as a hardcore, I'm not even talking about the hardcore, I mean a hardcore boxing fan, that is probably the most elite, high-level boxing chess match that you can get. It's pretty hard because Lomachenko is a lot bigger than Rigondeaux, and he's moved up again from 126 to 130, and Rigondeaux's still at 122 because that's his natural size. Will Lomachenko really be risking to move down to 126 and Rigondeaux move up to 126 and meet right there again? I don't know. I don't think it's worth the risk for Lomachenko and his, the way his management team talking about how they didn't even want to take the Salido fight. I don't think it's in his best interest to move back down and fight Rigondeaux, but to see who's the best, highest skill fighter today, I think it's between those two. And I think they're both, from a pure skill standpoint, without putting a resume and everything in it, they're the two best. And if they were to square off, it'd be a great fight for the hardcore boxing fans. And that's a fight that I typically would want to buy. But, if I had to buy it, I would, because I know what I would be getting a lot of high-level fights. But it's a good fight if it happened, but we're going